Good afternoon and welcome to this most wonderful setting of Cowdray Park for the finals of the British Open Polo Championship for the Cowdray Park Gold Cup. We've got a marvellous crowd this afternoon, the grandstand absolutely full and waiting for the start of what I'm sure is going to be a very exciting game. Now here come the two teams. On the left of your picture is Songhai with the two umpires, closely followed by Les Diables Bleus, and they will come round in front of the grandstand on about the halfway line. Alan Kent from the left, the number 2 for Songhai, played for England last year as number 2. Alvaro Pierres playing number 4, playing instead of Jacobu, the patron. Oliver Ellis, number 4 there. Robert Graham, one of the umpires. Gonzalo Tenora, the second umpire. Playing number 4 for Les Diables Bleus is Prince Charles, who's playing back for the first time today, and also his first time in the final. Julian Hipwood, number 3. That's Memo Gracida from Mexico, who hasn't played in England before. And the patron of Les Diables Bleus, G. Wildenstein, many of whose ponies are French-bred from his French stud, a great supporter of English polo, and his team is playing in his own racing colours. This is a 6-chukker match, ladies and gentlemen, with an interval of 3 minutes between each chukker, except at half-time, when there will be an interval of 5 minutes. A chukker can last for 7.5 minutes, except at the end of the game, when the bell goes for the end of the last chukker, then play is over. Now the teams have chosen ends, and it seems as if Les Diables Bleus are playing towards the clock, and play has got off to a good start. And for the match commentary, let me hand you over now to Terry Hanlon.
And Prince Charles coming onto the ball now for Les Diables Bleus. Near side shot by Kent for Songhai. Alan Kent through the legs of his pony. Julian Hipwood for Les Diables Bleus in 2 shades of blue coming onto the ball. Songhai through the ground. Kent with a volley in the air, picks up the ball. Hipwood waits for him, rides him out and backs it under his legs of his pony. Picked up now by Memo Cressida, playing for Les Diables Bleus this afternoon in 2 shades of blue. And the ball runs out on the far side of the ground. Now when the ball runs out, ladies and gentlemen, they line up exactly as they do in the lineup in the center of the ground, and the umpire will throw the ball in, and the blue team are now heading towards the clock end. They're about 80 yards away from the Songhai goal, and this is no score in the first chukker of the British Open Championships here for the Cowdray Park Gold Cup this afternoon. Coming on to the ball now, Memo Cressida taps the ball round. There's the goal. He's coming towards that goal. Near side shot from Cressida. Back of his legs. He passes the pony. Songhai. And Songhai. Oliver Ellis coming on to the ball now. Gonzalo Perez picks up the ball and taps it round, takes it gently round to the side, waiting for his team to get in position, wait for the pass, but he's put it out of play, and the ball runs out of play on the defensive end of the ground for Songhai. Robert Graham going to throw in now. In goes the ball. Julian Hipwood backs the ball straight up to his teammate, but Gonzalo Perez comes onto it. Alvaro Perez. Alvaro Perez with the ball, straight up pass to his brother. We're in the center of the ground now as the Blues are running back in defense as Songhai are on the attack. And Songhai, a nice backhand shot from Prince Charles, and the whistle has gone. And the whistle has gone. We'll see what the umpires decide. And the main rule of the game, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you watching for the first time, is the line of the ball. Once the ball having been struck, it creates its own line, being a main road. Anyone crossing that main road commits an infringement of the rules. In other words, coming out of a side turn-in is not on. And as soon as that happens, the whistle will blow. We finish up with a penalty shot from the centre of the ground, known as a 5B in polo, be taken by the number 3, Gonzalo Perez. He taps it forward. Didn't get a good bounce, taps it again. And he loses it. He loses it. And the 4 comes in defence and backs the ball and saves the day. Ellis saves the day. Julian Hipwood coming onto the ball. Does a near side shot. Memo Cressida. Alvaro Perez cuts the ball up the field. Prince Charles comes in. Oliver Ellis comes through the field, but Julian Hipwood's hit the big one. And Hipwood going straight down the field. Kent comes back for Songhai. Songhai in green. Le Diable Bleu, 2 shades of blue. And they're standing on the ball. Memo Cressida picks it up. Memo Cressida taps it forward for Le Diable Bleu. Julian Hipwood of Le Diable Bleu going up to the front line. Waits for the under the neck shot. Didn't get it. Prince Charles coming onto the ball now. Back there neatly by Alvaro Perez. Kent picks it up, the number 1 striker of Songhai. And the ball runs out of play in front of the stands. And they're halfway between 2 goals here in the stands, right on the centre of the pitch. And in goes the ball from Gonzalo Tenora, the umpire from Argentina. 10 goals, one of the finest players in the world. Throws in the ball. Who picks that one up? Ellis comes onto that. And the whistle goes. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a prime example of line of the ball there. Watch for that one. The ball came through and the whistle went. The whistle has gone. And it was a hit from the centre of the field in favour of Le Diable Bleu. And the ball came through the line and one of the green players shot across that main road. As in football, you can't cut in front of a player and bring him down, and that's the main rule of polo, which is so dangerous. And this is going to be taken by Prince Charles now, coming onto the ball from the centre, and they're going towards the clock end now, attacking the Greens' goal mouth. And that's a nice clean hit from Prince Charles, straight up the ground. Picked up there by Cressida, but in comes the Gonzalo Perez, and it passed up to his brother Alvaro Perez, straight up the field. Songhai on the attack. Prince Charles coming back in defence, picks up the number 3, loses him, and Gonzalo Perez cuts the ball straight down the ground. Julian Hipwood going back in defence, backs the ball for Le Diable Bleu. Oliver Ellis comes through the field, he hits one up. Prince Charles is going back in defence, but Julian Hipwood, the centre half, comes out and hits the ball straight up the ground. Hipwood picks up the line. Prince Charles sitting at the back door there, the big sweeper, waiting to pull that ball out. Coming onto the ball now, Alvaro Perez, Julian Hipwood under the neck, picks it up. Alan Kent, Prince Charles pushes him hard. Backed onto Memo Cressida. Alan Kent coming onto it, backs it across the field. Memo Cressida picks up that pass. Gonzalo Perez bumps him hard. Memo picks it up. Oliver Ellis comes to the whistle's gone. The whistle's gone. And the umpires, a 60-yard penalty shot against Le Diable Bleu. And there it is, going across the line. One of the blue players just shot across the front of one of the greens. And we finish up with a penalty shot in favour of Songhai. Songhai, ladies and gentlemen, is the Nigerian-sponsored team by Amadou Yakubu, who is, fortunately, I'm glad to say, flown over. My friend Neil Dearden Smith here told you earlier he's gone back for the elections. Well, he's come back specially today for this match for Songhai versus Le Diable Bleu, the French-sponsored side by Guy Wildenstein. And coming onto the ball now is a young man called Gonzalo Perez, 22 years of age, one of the finest players in England this year from Argentina, playing for Songhai. And he's hit a big one towards the goal, and the whistle's gone. And it's a goal, and there it is, Songhai won. And 2 minutes to go of this first chukker for the British Open Championships, international polo here at Cowdray Park this afternoon. In goes the ball, and can Le Diable Bleu equal this score in this chukker? Going down the ground, Memo Cressida backs it up to Julian Hipwood. The number 1, Guy Wildenstein, called off a bit by Hipwood. Stick neatly there. Oliver Ellis coming onto it now for Greens. Songhai really on the attack. Julian Hipwood waits for the backhand shot from Memo Cressida, taps it, takes the ball round, passes the ball up the ground. Alvaro Perez comes onto it, backs it up to his brother, Gonzalo Perez. Perez. And Alvaro Perez comes straight through the field and hits the ball up to his brother Gonzalo Perez now for Songhai. Songhai in green coming down the ground. Back there neatly. There comes the brother Alvaro Perez straight up the field. They're attacking the Blues end. And Le Diable Bleu are rushing back. They're in trouble. And they're really coming back here. Alan Kent sitting in front of that goal. Reaches forward. He goes for the shot between the legs. And he's put it in. Alan Kent has scored for Songhai. 2 to Songhai in this first chukker for the British Open Championships here at Cowdray Park, the Cowdray Park Gold Cup.
And at the beginning of the second chukker, Songhai playing from right to left in their dark green shirts, Les Diables Bleus from left to right, and the score Songhai 2, Les Diables Bleus 0.
And sitting in front of that goal, Julian Hipwood coming out now to try and pepper that goal as Songhai comes onto the ball, near side shot. Can Memo Cressida pick it up? Picks up the ball, taps it forward. He's sitting in front of Songhai's goal. He's put it in. And Julian Hipwood's coming hard on the line. And that's it. And the whistle's gone. And there was a chance there for Julian Hipwood. He came flying along that line and the whistle went. And Prince Charles just ridden off to change a pony. And the 2 umpires sitting in front of the goal will decide what happened there. And they look towards the referee. It's a hit from the spot against Songhai, so right in the goal mouth of Songhai, the green side, the Diable Bleu have a chance to make it 1-2 in this second chukker. Julian Hipwood, as quick as a flash, picked up the opportunity, saw the line of the ball, and one of the Songhai players just hanging about in that goal mouth, and coming on to a penalty shot now is Memo Cressida, who's just going to tap that ball through. That will make it 1-2, 1-2, Les Diables Bleus, 2 to Songhai. That's the... and I'm sure we're in for a very good match this afternoon. The Blues really going to give Songhai the run for their money. And Songhai, a really fast team who've scored a fantastic amount of goals in this international tournament, this league tournament. And Les Diables Bleus, rather somewhat the underdogs here this afternoon. Guy Wildenstein comes in, going straight down the ground, away with the mixer. That's the number 1, the big striker for Le Diable Bleu, centre forward. Hits the ball under the neck. Can Julian Hipwood come through? Gonzalo Perez clears nicely. Memo Cressida comes onto it. And Alan Kent for Songhai, picks up the ball, taps it forward. Kent with the ball now. Alan Kent going down the field, but back there, Nick. Gonzalo Perez comes through and loses it. Julian Hipwood comes onto the ball, straight under the neck. Picks up the ball, coming down the ground. Ellis waits for him for Songhai. Le Diable Bleu get another one in. Gonzalo Perez comes back for the backhand shot and clears nicely for Songhai. We're coming towards the centre of the ground now. Getting towards the centre of the ground, and Gonzalo Perez coming onto the Le Diable Bleu goal area. Memo Cressida turns and changes the game. Turns it right round. Alvaro Perez meets it. Prince Charles comes onto it. Hits the ball straight up the ground. Julian Hipwood left with the pass. And the whistle goes. And an opportunity there for Le Diable Bleu to get a penalty shot. We'll see what the umpires decide. They're heading towards the Songhai goal, and it's another 60-yard penalty in favour of Le Diable Bleu. Julian Hipwood and Prince Charles coming fast on that line. Got a cross from one of the greens in defence, and we finish up with a penalty shot in favour of Le Diable Bleu, going to be taken now by Memo Cressida. As I told you before, a young man from Mexico whose father was in charge, I believe, of the ponies of the Guard of Mexico, of the royal family, and been trained by his father, and also playing for Mexico this year in England. Coming onto the ball now, Memo Cressida for Le Diable Bleu. And he's hit a big one through the post. There's no stopping that. And if you can catch that, ladies and gentlemen, you're in form. And 2-2 in this second chukker. 2-2 in this second chukker. And as the Goal has been scored. Players change ends. Unlike in football, we change ends every time. There it is, the 3-2's on the board. Second chukker, 2-all. Ends change, and they start going in the other direction. And there's Le Diable Bleu straight away going towards the Songhai goal. Memo Cressida taps the ball forward, takes his time, waiting for the pass is Julian Hipwood. The ball can't get through to him, but Gonzalo Perez backs it. Memo Cressida comes onto the ball. Number 1, Guy Wildenstein. Julian Hipwood's there. All the Blues are sitting in the Songhai goal mouth, and they back the ball, and it goes out of play. And Songhai hitting out now from the scoreboard end. They're defending this goal mouth, and this is Oliver Ellis coming onto the ball now for Songhai. It's a clean one up to the field. Memo Cressida comes in for Le Diable Bleu, comes onto the ball now, puts it round his tail. Julian Hipwood reaches out for it. Oliver Ellis comes through the field, the back door, the big sweeper of Songhai, hits the ball up to the number 2, calls his number 2 off of it, leaves it for the centre half, hits it straight up the field, and the Blues are in trouble. There's only one back there in defence. Gonzalo Perez is coming onto the ball. He's hit it towards goal, and Julian Hipwood's going back, and it's going to run in. He's put it on, and there it is, Songhai 3, the Diable Bleu 2, and the Blues somewhat caught there in trouble, and they rush back. Only one of their men in defence. They were attacking the Songhai goal and got out of order. Just for those people watching for the first time, the 4 is the back door, is the big sweeper. The number 1 is the centre forward, and the 3 is the centre half. And there's the number 2, one of the forward players up the front from Alvaro Perez. Julian Hipwood backs the ball for Le Diable Bleu. They're going towards the Songhai goal now. Le Diable Bleu coming up on my left now. Coming on the left of your picture is Memo Cressida for Le Diable Bleu, wanting to shorten that score, but the ball has run out of play on the far side of the ground in the centre. Right in the centre of the ground, the ball goes out of play. Players line up as they do in the beginning of each chukker. 1, 2, 3, 4. The centre forward at number 1, of course, and the back door, Prince Charles there, the big sweeper, the back for the Blues. In goes the ball. And Gonzalo Perez backs the ball, but it runs straight out of play. Umpire throws the ball in. Alan Kent, the centre forward of Songhai, comes onto the ball now. The number 1, Alan Kent, goes for the big shot, hit it towards the Le Diable Bleu goal. Prince Charles is going back for him. But the ball runs out of play, and Prince Charles running back there to take this hit in. Prince Charles having coming on to the ball now. And umpires call play, and Prince Charles goes for the big shot, hits it straight into the field. Julian Hipwood picks it up. Gonzalo Perez, Hipwood, Perez. Hipwood picks up a near side shot and cuts the ball straight across the centre of the ground. They're coming through the middle of the ground now as Julian Hipwood comes onto the ball and backs it over to Memo Cressida. Alan Kent sits there. Prince Charles waits at the back door. Prince Charles waits for the backhand shot. Gonzalo Perez comes onto it, the number 3 for Songhai. Hits it straight down the ground. Julian Hipwood going back. Prince Charles takes out the number 3. Prince Charles riding hard. Number 3, Gonzalo Perez, backs the ball through the legs of his pony and really goes for the shot outside of the ground, but it didn't come off. It goes behind the goalpost of the defending side, the Diable Bleu. And unlike in football, as that would be a corner, it would be a 60-yard penalty shot from where the ball went out of play. And you'll see Gonzalo Perez teeing the ball up now to take that penalty shot. Sitting in the goal mouth is Julian Hipwood, Prince Charles, in defence of this French side, Le Diable Bleu. International polo here at Cowdray Park at the highest level. The Americans are here, the Nigerians are here, the Argentinians, New Zealanders, Australians, everybody here playing for this wonderful British Open Championships here this afternoon. There's a big one, and he's put it through. Perez has made it 4, and there Songhai have gone up to 4-2 in the second chukker, and the Blues, Le Diable Bleu, have really got to start thinking about getting back into this game. Only 2 goals in it, plenty of time yet. 7.5 minutes a chukker meaning a period of time in word originates in India, I believe. Up to Gonzalo Perez, who's defending now for Songhai. Backs the ball across the centre of the ground. Julian Hipwood coming onto it hard, but Kent got the legs on him. Alan Kent on a very fast pony. Hipwood backs the ball straight up to Memo Cressida. Cressida picks up the ball for Le Diable Bleu. Cressida coming down the ground, cuts it across to the number 1, Guy Wildenstein. Wildenstein sitting in front of the goal. Can he put it in? And it runs out of play. And it'll be a hit in for the Songhai side, be taken by Oliver Ellis, the number 4, black helmet. And that's the first bell, and as the ball's out of play, it's the end of the second chukker. Over to you, Neil. What did you think of that chukker?
Well, Songhai this time really went hell for leather. They're 2 goals ahead at the end of the second chukker, but there's all to play for here, of course. 7.5 minutes per chukker. Incidentally, for those who haven't seen this game before, you will have realized that there is no offside rule in polo. And once again, to tell you that the teams change round after each goal. And the play starting at the beginning of this 4th chukker, the second half of this match, with a throw-in from the Songhai end, 100 yards from the Songhai goal.
And Julian Hipwood, Alan Kent for Songhai, going straight down the centre of the ground. Alan Kent hits the ball forward, the number 1 centre forward for Songhai. Called off of it by the number 3, Gonzalo Perez, who hits a centre shot out of this world, and it's going to run straight through the post. And Perez really put one on then, right from about 100 yards out of the field, put one through those goal posts. Gonzalo Perez, the number 3 for Songhai. The number 3 for Songhai coming to the centre of the ground now for a throw-in. There it is, 5-2 to Songhai in the 4th chukker for international polo. And this is polo. Alan Kent coming onto the ball now. Hits it straight up the field. Perez is going up for the pass. Prince Charles come back in defence. Prince Charles with the ball now. Leaches out and does a near side backhand shot. Memo Cressida cuts it out to Julian Hipwood. And Alvaro Perez cuts it across the field. Alan Kent comes onto it and backs it onto the field. Alvaro Perez sitting in front and cuts it through, but it's gone wide. And a great chance there for Songhai to make it 6-2. They're leading 5 goes to 4 in the 4th chukker, with Le Diable Bleu to hit out now. Prince Charles coming onto the ball. 5 goals to 2. Songhai lead in this 4th chukker. Julian Hipwood taps the ball round. Julian Hipwood. Gonzalo Perez for Songhai, back the ball straight across the field. Memo Cressida comes onto it. Prince Charles sitting at the back door. Prince Charles goes forward. Julian Hipwood goes up. Julian Hipwood waiting for the pass. And back there, Alan Kent comes through for Songhai. Kent, Julian Hipwood steals the ball. The Blues are on the attack. Centre of the ground, Prince Charles comes onto the ball. Straight down the field, they're heading about 80 yards away from the Songhai end. Alvaro Perez backs the ball straight up the field. Memo Cressida comes onto it, and the whistle goes. And there you saw a prime example of lining the ball. You mustn't get in the way of another pony coming along the line. And penalty shot, 60 yards out into the Songhai goal. Going to be taken now by Memo Cressida. Coming on, Memo Cressida now with the ball. Let's see what he does with it. He's hit a big one straight up the field, and that's heading towards it. It's through. Well done, Memo Cressida for Le Diable Bleu. And there's a change of the score there. 3-5 to Le Diable Bleu. 3-5. And 4th chukker. And players line up. Players line up. Number 1, Guy Wildenstein. 2, Memo Cressida for Le Diable Bleu. 4, Prince Charles. In goes the ball. Under the neck from Gonzalo Perez. Prince Charles rushing back for Le Diable Bleu. Backs the ball straight up the field. Ends have changed as Julian Hipwood comes round. He's now attacking the scoreboard end for Le Diable Bleu. Ends change every time a goal is scored in polo, unlike in football at half-time. Alan Kent, Julian Hipwood. Prince Charles meets it head on. What a beautiful shot from Prince Charles. Met the ball head on and hit it straight up towards the Songhai goal. And sitting there and runs into it. Memo Cressida comes through. Can they shorten this lead? Memo Cressida, Julian Hipwood. And Gonzalo Perez, a clearing shot through the legs of his pony. The whistle has gone. And it may well be a 60-yard penalty shot from where the ball went out of play. As unlike in football, You have a corner. In polo, you have a penalty shot, very similar, 60 yards from where the ball went out of play. It'll be taken by Memo Cressida. Let's see what he does with this one now. Memo Cressida teeing the ball up. He'll probably tap it forward. We'll see what he does. Prince Charles positioning himself in a position to follow him in after he comes onto the ball. Umpires call play as the number 2 forward line of the Le Diable Bleu side coming onto the ball now. He's done so well with his penalty shots so far. 3-5, fourth chukker. Le Diable Bleu 3, Songhai 5 in green. 2 shades of blue coming onto the ball now. He hits a big one. And Alan Kent volleys it and stops it in midair. Julian Hipwood backs it through the goal. And the captain's put it in. And there it is. 4-5. 4-5. Number 1, Guy Wildenstein. Gonzalo Perez, the number 3. Gonzalo Perez cuts it to the centre of the ground. Julian Hipwood takes it out and backs the ball straight up the field. Memo Cressida picks up that pass. What a pass from Memo Cressida. And the Blues are out in front. Gonzalo Perez comes in. Backhand shot. Julian Hipwood sitting at the back door. Comes to the backhand shot. Taps it forward and loses it. Avero Perez with a chance and puts it in. There it is. 6-5, 6-4 to Songhai. Julian Hipwood couldn't quite clear the ball there, and Avero Perez came onto a sitting duck ball and put it through the goal. Julian Hipwood riding back to the centre now. Ends change, and so is the score. 6 to Songhai, 4 to Le Diable Bleu in the fourth chukker. One more chukker to go after this one. We just started. Memo Cressida, near side backhand shot, but Ellis, the back door and big sweeper of Songhai, clears nicely for Songhai. Prince Charles goes for the tap shot. Memo Cressida, rather, beg your pardon. Julian Hipwood. Julian taps it forward. Julian Hipwood. Prince Charles comes under it. He's hit one forward. That could go in the goal. He's rushing on, but Alvaro Perez comes back for Songhai. Prince Charles, Julian Hipwood, near side backhand coming up under the neck. Where's Cressida? Backs it out of play, and the 2 greens collide. 2 green players. Prince Charles comes onto the ball. He's hit a backhand shot ready towards goal. Cressida picks up the pass. Guy Wildenstein hits it. Guy Wildenstein taps it round. Guy Wildenstein cleared nicely by Gonzalo Perez, Julian Hipwood, and they're peppering that Songhai goal. The Diable Bleu, and a very good attack there from Memo Cressida and Prince Charles. Prince Charles going up for the pass. Memo Cressida puts it under his neck, and it's gone wide. And what a try indeed for Le Diable Bleu, attacking that Songhai goal. Songhai to hit in now. Hitting in now is Oliver Ellis for Songhai in green, coming straight down the ground. The number 1 comes to meet him, Guy Wildenstein. Gonzalo Perez sends the ball straight up the field to his forward line. Memo Cressida intercepts. Julian Hipwood backs it. Cressida picks up the pass. Cressida coming onto it now. Gonzalo Perez comes into it. Guy Wildenstein called onto the ball. Oliver Ellis going back for it. Guy Wildenstein cuts it round. Memo Cressida can come through the field, but Julian Hipwood's there. Memo Cressida. Prince Charles has come up the front. Back there by Julian Hipwood. There's a chance now for Prince Charles. The whistle's gone. The whistle's gone. And the Diable Bleu really peppering the goal mouth of Songhai. We'll see what the umpires have decided about that. And it's a very, very important decision. And we'll see what happens now. Robert Graham going back onto the ground with Gonzalo Tenora. It's a hit in from the spot in favour of Songhai. And they're going to hit out in defence from their own goal. So the Diable Bleu have come out the worst of that one. And it'll probably be taken by Gonzalo Perez. And the Blues have really been peppering that Songhai goal in this 5th chukker. Songhai 6, the Diable Bleu 4. And Gonzalo Perez tees the ball up. Who's going to take it? The number 4 has gone into the game. And it's a hit out from the scoreboard end. Going to be taken now by Gonzalo Perez. There's the scoreboard. Gonzalo Perez coming onto the ball now in defence of his own goal mouth. Taps the ball forward. Guy Wildenstein for the Diable Bleu. Wait for him. Goes for the ride-off. And there's a heavy ride-off. That's it. Guy Wildenstein and Gonzalo Perez. Julian Hipwood stolen the ball from under his nose, heading towards the Songhai goal. Julian Hipwood taps it and he runs into a pony. Perez cuts it through the legs. Prince Charles comes onto it. Prince Charles, near side backhand shot. Didn't get hold of it. Memo Cressida picks it up, turns, taps the ball through the legs of the pony. That's beautiful play from this Mexican gentleman. What a super player, Memo Cressida. And Gonzalo Perez clears there for Songhai. And Brother Alvaro comes out to pick up that pass. Memo coming back. Memo Cressida. Julian Hipwood comes into the game. Julian Hipwood backs the ball. Kent. Memo Cressida comes onto it now. Taps it round. Julian Hipwood waiting for the pass. Julian Hipwood going up to the forward line. And Memo goes for the big one. Prince Charles has turned like lightning. Had to pick that up. Gonzalo Perez. Memo Cressida backs it. Prince Charles waiting for the pass, but it runs into the pony of Gonzalo Perez. Perez with a chance now. Hits about 80 yards out from the Diable Bleu goal. Heading towards for the... And cleared nicely there from Le Diable Bleu. Julian Hipwood coming onto it now for the Blues. Memo Cressida and the ball runs out of play on the far side of the ground, right in the very centre of this Cowdray Park polo ground. Players line up, ball goes in, and about 2 or 3 minutes to go yet of this chukker, this fifth chukker. Songhai 6, they're heading towards Le Diable Bleu goal. Prince Charles clears nicely. Le Diable Bleu up to Memo Cressida of Le Diable Bleu. Memo Cressida taps it forward, takes his time. Kent comes in for him, near side shot. Memo Cressida, near side shot, another one, goes for the big one. Guy Wildenstein, the forward, picks it up. Julian Hipwood with a chance, taps it and pulls his pony up, manages to get another crack of that cherry, another bite of the cherry, and Julian Hipwood pushing really hard there. Comes out for Alvaro Perez, taps the ball, tickles it round, takes it round, hits it right across the front of the Songhai goal. And Guy Wildenstein now with a chance for a backhand shot. Goes for the backhand. Prince Charles pushing hard. Cleared nicely there by the number 1, Alan Kent. The number 2, Oliver Ellis. 4 rather. Oliver Ellis comes into the game from the front line. Back there by Memo Cressida. Gonzalo Perez. Julian Hipwood backs it. Julian Hipwood came straight onto the line of that one, heading towards the Songhai goal. Hits a big ball straight through the sky, and that's sitting in front of the goal. Can they clear it? Gonzalo Perez comes in and cuts it out to the side, taking no chances indeed, and puts the ball right out of play at the scoreboard end of the Songhai half of this pitch. Songhai really in defence of their goal now, as Le Diable Bleu really putting on the pressure, really trying to get back into this game. In goes the ball. Memo Cressida up to the front line. Julian Hipwood with a chance, called off of it there. Alvaro Perez hits it. Julian Hipwood going to go for the backhand shot now. Didn't get hold of it. Memo Cressida backs it straight up the field. Gonzalo Perez, and the ball sitting there. Julian Hipwood comes through the field. Oliver Ellis backs the ball. Julian Hipwood with a chance. Memo Cressida cleared beautifully there by Oliver Ellis of Songhai. Songhai clearing the ball now from their own end. Coming towards the centre of the ground now as Oliver Ellis and Julian Hipwood pick up this ball. Hipwood for Le Diable Bleu, cut it round. Gonzalo Perez comes onto it, cuts it straight through the field, goes through 2 players, and that's 40-mile-an-hour polo here at Cowdray Park. First bell. Julian Hipwood steals the ball from Gonzalo Perez. 30 seconds to go. 1 more bell to come. 30 seconds left. There's a chance. Memo Cressida sends it up to the forward line. Prince Charles comes onto it. Ball cut round by Oliver Ellis, the back door of Songhai. Gonzalo Perez cuts it under the neck of his pony. Julian Hipwood left. Only seconds left now, as in the centre of the ground. And the ball runs out of play, and that's the end of the 5th chukker, with Songhai leading 6 goals to 4. And the ball has run out of play. And you'll see often the players riding along side by side, trying to ride one another over that main road, over the line of the ball. And that's what we call in polo a ride-off, a really, really hard bump. And the people who get hurt are the players, and the ponies really enjoy this game. Watch Prince Charles come onto this ball now. Near side, a nice backhand shot from the centre of the ground from Prince Charles up to the captain, Julian Hipwood. Prince Charles taps the ball forward. Takes it round, cuts it forward. Memo Cressida comes in. Julian Hipwood waits for the pass. Julian Hipwood's going forward. Memo Cressida taps the ball forward. Hipwood's gone up to the Songhai goalmouth. Kent comes into the ball, taps it round, takes it round. Prince Charles goes for the hook, and he gets it. Backs it up to the number 2. Memo Cressida out in front. Prince Charles coming onto the ball now. Backhand shot and cuts it towards the Songhai goal. That could go in, and Prince Charles has sent it there, and he's knocked it through. It's not in. Still sitting there, and Oliver Ellis clears. Prince Charles comes onto the ball again. He's at a near side backhand shot. Kent comes on for Songhai and clears the ball out to the side. From all the world, to me, it looked as though it went in the air and going through the goal, and it runs out of play 80 yards from the Songhai goalmouth near the scoreboard end. And what a beautiful chucker for Prince Charles that was. Hit the ball, backed it, head it through the... In goes the ball from Gonzalo Tenora. Julian Hipwood picks it up for Le Diable Bleu, cuts it round. Nobody there. Oliver Ellis going back in defence for Songhai. Memo Cressida riding for the hook shot. Left with the ball. Julian Hipwood between his legs. Prince Charles got a chance to tap it forward, and it's there left on the ground, and Perez clears. And Le Diable Bleu really peppering the goalmouth of this Songhai side. And Songhai fighting off all the attack from Le Diable Bleu. Memo Cressida again. And by golly, if there's ever a cup for trying, this Le Diable Bleu side ought to get one this afternoon. They're really trying to win this cup. 6 chucker. Time left yet. 6 goals to Songhai, 4 to Le Diable Bleu. Ball being thrown in now by Robert Graham. Everybody looking for it. Alvaro Perez. Gonzalo Perez up to his forward line. We're getting up to the halfway line now. And the ball runs out of play. 3/4 of the way down the field from the Diable Bleu end in the Songhai half of the field. In goes the ball. Julian Hipwood. But Gonzalo Perez snatches it from under his very nose. Prince Charles comes back in defence. Prince Charles waits for him, pushes him off. Perez taps it through the legs of his pony. Julian Hipwood. Alvaro Perez for Songhai comes onto it. Near side backhand shot. Julian Hipwood picks it up for Le Diable Bleu, cuts it out to Prince Charles for the pass. Kent intercepts and backs the ball round his tail as Oliver Ellis comes onto it for Songhai. Gonzalo Perez steals the opportunity. The whistle has gone, and that was a prime example of line of the ball. The 2 umpires come to the centre. They'll decide what the foul was, and you'll soon see what they've decided. 2 umpires there in the centre of the ground. And Prince Charles sitting there really fighting for his side, Le Diable Bleu. Perez coming onto the ball now for the penalty shot. Gonzalo Perez picks it up, hits it forward. Guy Wildenstein intercepts it. Julian Hipwood meets it and cuts it out to the side of the ground. And the game goes on. 6 goals to 4. They come to the centre of the ground. Julian Hipwood coming onto the ball now. And by golly, it's run out of play, and he certainly doesn't want that because time is precious to the Diable Bleu side now. As we come to the end of the 6 chuckers, Songhai leading 6 goals to 4. Can Le Diable Bleu do it? Well, the answer to that is we'll know in a few moments. Gonzalo Perez hits the ball towards the Le Diable Bleu goal. Prince Charles rushes back in defence to send this ball back on its way towards Songhai. But Songhai sitting there with a good position. Tap it forward. Memo Cressida comes into it. Julian Hipwood cuts it across the ground. Julian Hipwood, Alan Kent goes for it for Songhai. Hipwood still with the ball. Memo Cressida comes onto it. Hipwood coming straight down the ground in front of the stand. Gonzalo Perez clears and cuts the ball out of play in the centre of the ground, just in front of the stands here. And not far away from the presentation of that cup. And there's only one bell, and as soon as that goes, the winners will be the British Open Championships here for the Cowdray Park Gold Cup. Prince Charles going back in defence for Le Diable Bleu, and there is it, he backs the ball, and there it is! Songhai have won it, they've won the Gold Cup, they've won the Cowdray Park Gold Cup for the British Open Championships here this afternoon. And to present the cup is Earl Mountbatten, Admiral of the Fleet.
So we now await the presentation of the Cowdray Park Gold Cup to the winning team, Songhai. Le Diable Bleu, the very gallant losers, and some would say rather unlucky. And this is the patron of Songhai, Amadou Yakubu from Nigeria, receiving the Gold Cup from Lord Mountbatten. Now, the patron of the Songhai team having his, I say his Gold Cup, but the Cowdray Park Gold Cup, filled with champagne, no doubt for the winning team to imbibe. No, he's taking it to the losing team, and first of all, it's going to be Prince Charles to take his sip. And it will go, no doubt, along the line to the losing team before going to the winning team. And that, I think, is indicative of Polo and the happiness of Lord Mountbatten himself having a swig from the Gold Cup before handing it back to the patron. There's Lord Cowdray, who, of course, has played his enormous part in bringing polo to this part of the world at Cowdray Park. Guy Wildenstein, the patron of the losing team, rather, Les Diables Bleus. Julian Hipwood. And finally down the line to Memo Gracida, who played so wonderfully well for the losers. Now the cup going across to the winners. Gonzalo Perez, the captain, going to Oliver Ellis, who played so well at number 4. And then it will go to Alan Kent and Alvaro Perez. So we've seen a marvellous afternoon's polo here at Cowdray Park, with the winners finally being Songhai by the tune of 6-4. A tremendous crowd, somewhere in the region of 3,000 or 4,000, have all thoroughly enjoyed this afternoon's sport. So from Cowdray Park, and we hope you've enjoyed it thoroughly. And this, incidentally, is the first coverage on television by Southern of polo from Cowdray Park. It's good afternoon.